Hello, my name is Kara Brown, and I'm here to talk to you about how to do time management as an author. So this video is part of the initiative by Tamara Woods, who every year she kind of hosts and facilitates a group of videos referred to as Project Authortube, where a lot of people on Authortube get together to create like a series of videos to provide to anybody who might be taking place in NaNoWriMo. And we do this during Preptober because a lot of our videos have to kind of focus on things that you're getting ready for in NaNoWriMo. This can be anything from like making characters, series bibles, time management, marketing, being a rebel, all that stuff. And mine is going to have to do with time management because that's just what I do. So if you're new to my channel and you don't know anything about me, my name is Kara Brown. I am a remote project manager these days, and I also wrote those books over there. And because I do a lot of remote work for different individuals, such as so I do a lot of work for a couple of influencers. I do them for industry artists and some other things. And literally what I do is I help them manage their time. And this can look different for a lot of reasons, but the reason I'm sharing that with you is actually because I'm trying to convey that I have some experience with time management in various settings, and I'm hoping that I can pull that experience together to give you some tips and tricks. And then I'm also going to kind of show you how I manage my time, which is going to be completely over the top, I know, but hopefully you can look at that and see if there's something in there that you want to emulate in your life. But before we get into that, I do want to cover a couple things about time management first. The first thing I want to do is cover the question of, do I need to manage my time? And the simple answer to that is no, not really. You don't have to. You don't have to do anything, right? The big reason that some people decide that they are going to actually do time management is because they have found that it helps them be more productive and more successful in reaching certain objectives and goals. Now, how they do that really depends on the individual. Some people are content with sticky notes. Some people like to have over-the-top, day planners and a whole bunch of other things. Sky's the limit, really is. But for me, I use it to basically help me with my thinking process because the brain is really good at coming up with ideas, but it's really bad at remembering things. And I try to create systems of time management that take the burden of having to remember things so I can focus more on the ideas. Now, when we're talking about time management, I also want to kind of touch on a concept called work versus busy. And what I'm kind of getting at with that is it's really easy for us to be busy and get no work done. There's a thing that I affectionately like to call the kitchen syndrome. And basically what that looks like is you go into the kitchen to put the dishes away. You see that the countertops need to be wiped down, so you're like, I'll do that real quick. And while you're in the middle of wiping down the countertops, you see that the toaster needs to have all the crumbs taken out. So you start to unplug that and take it to the trash to do that. And then you realize that the trash needs to be taken out. And then while you're taking the trash out, something else happens. And basically what happens is an hour goes by, you are completely exhausted, and you're just surrounded by half-finished things that you tried to do. And I had pretty bad chronic kitchen syndrome for a really long time. There was lots of things I was always busy doing but never getting anything done. And basically managing my time and setting up something that worked for me really helped me eliminate that. I got more things done, I felt more accomplished, and I had a record of things that I had done, which is really useful when you are kind of planning, because you can look back in your past and you can see what worked and what didn't work, and obviously you're going to keep what worked and you're going to ditch whatever didn't work, which I highly recommend that you do. And that all kind of brings us into how does that help me as a writer? The nice thing about managing your time is that it also requires you to have a self-awareness of your time, where you spend it, and what you're doing with that time. A really good example is that I know I am very productive between the hours of 6 and 1. And then pretty much once 1 o'clock hits, all my productivity starts to kind of take a nosedive. And by the time 6 o'clock is around, I'm out of the office. I ain't getting nothing done. I'm going to read a book, watch TV. I'm just going to tune out. And that's really important for me to know. So when I have really important projects or things that I need to get done, I know that using basically that window that I told you before is when I'm going to have to go and make sure that things get done. As a writer, that's exceptionally important because we all write better in different places. Maybe we write really well in coffee shops, maybe we write really well in the kitchen, maybe we write really well outside, whatever it is. Knowing where we write our best and when we write our best is really something that I would highly encourage you to kind of spend this Preptober time to explore and find out, so that way when it comes to crunch time, you'll know where that sacred space is, so to speak, so that way you can basically be the best writer that you can be. Actually, talking about that, there's a book that I'm always talking about. This book, I absolutely love this book, but that what I'm talking about is also highlighted in this text right here. It is 2K to 10K by Rachel Aaron. And she, for a little while, she had an Excel spreadsheet, highly big fan of those here, and in those spreadsheets she would track where she worked, how long she was there, what her word count was, how she felt, and all those other things. And she covers it in here, but basically what she learned is that she does her best writing on Tuesdays and Thursdays in a coffee shop, where she basically can hit anywhere between like 10 and 16,000 words, which that's huge. I would absolutely love to do that on, you know, a weekly basis. So when you're going to sit down and start doing the steps for project management, you do have to take some things into account. First off, your own individual experience. Like I said, I'm most productive between the hours of 6 and 1, and there's definitely some factors that I don't have in my life that some other individuals do. So for example, I don't have children. My dogs are very low maintenance. You know, if I have to go to a physical location for work, I have to note that as well. So for example, right now on Mondays and Fridays, I have to go to a physical location to work with a client, and that obviously is going to eat into like my window time of getting stuff done. So I always have to plan around that. You may have to be part of like an organization or a club or anything. You could be part of Authortube, joining in on several activities such as, you know, these wonderful series videos that we're making, or you could be doing the Worldwide Write-a-thon, which I'm very happy I said that correctly. You know, it's just being aware of everything that is going to influence your time and what's going to get into that sacred time space, you know. Reflect on your current situation, be really honest with yourself, and also be really honest with your energy too. I'm really big fan of telling folks that when they're making plans to kind of make it like they're going to be sick every day. And this works when people are not sometimes individuals like to make plans when they have high energy, and that's really dangerous, because what happens is you have like this high energy moment and you start saying like, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to write like 5,000 words a day, and then I'm going to do this on YouTube and I'm going to do all this and blah blah blah. And then what's going to happen as your energy starts to taper off into like a more normal level is you're going to start missing some of those benchmarks. And if you keep missing benchmarks, you're going to like, it's obviously not going to feel good. And at this point, this is where I would tell you to like redirect or kind of shift the way that you're tackling those objectives and your approach to them. But some individuals basically get really discouraged about not doing as well as they want to. And then at some point, some of them actually just kind of give up entirely. And if there's anything that I could do, it's avoiding the giving up entirely part, because stuff doesn't get done if you give up on it. And if you aren't aware of like when you are the most productive, there's a couple, I mean, there's an app out there that will let you track your time about what you're doing and when you're doing it. I did mine on paper. I basically had like, I think it took me like a solid 2 weeks to kind of figure out what my routine was and what it looked like. And I color coded it because I'm Caro. But I color coded it to be kind of like, okay, I wake up at this time and I work out at this time and I spend this much time getting this stuff done, and you know, I want to get these things done, and I would track when it was getting done and, you know, when I was focusing on it. And that's when I noticed that, you know, the 6 to 1 time frame and how basically nothing's getting done after that, and 6 o'clock is definitely like don't talk to me time. You could also use a piece of paper like I did. You could use a bullet journal to track that kind of stuff. You could also use Google Calendar for that. There's an app, I don't know what the name of the app is off the top of my head, but there's an app that will let you track everything from like when you wake up, how long you're spending eating, when you're in transit. I think I actually did that app like way long ago when I was a teacher, trying to figure out like, you know, why am I not getting anything done. But you know, there's a lot of different methods, and if you are watching this and you have a method that actually worked for you to expand your self-awareness on your time, go ahead and like leave that down below, so that way anybody watching the video can like go and check it out and see if it's a good way for them to do their own self-analysis on that. But what I will do is I will actually show you what I used to do and then what I'm doing right now, so that way you guys know that there are options. What I used to do is I used to have like these little notebooks with me, and what I'm going to do is, because even though this camera is completely amazing, I'm just going to put a picture up like over here somewhere, or just over the entire screen so you can see it. But if you take a look at it, it holds 6 months in there, and I was using the rolling weekly. And on one side, that's where all the tasks and things that I had to get done were going to be. And then on the other side was kind of like my self-reflective, like, you know, journaling stuff that I was doing. And for a little while, this was actually working pretty well for me. And why I ended up not staying with this is because I became more mobile. Before, when I used to just stay home all the time and I didn't have to worry about traveling, this system worked out pretty well for me. And I did appreciate the disconnect from, you know, any kind of like electronics or being on the internet. And this was a good way to do it. But because I have to now move and go from place to place, this is not the only notebook I have. I would keep these in a traveler notebook, and what ended up happening was I was basically carrying this giant brick with me everywhere. And I'm not really a fan of having to carry luggage wherever I go, so I switched to a digital system and I'm still in the middle of troubleshooting it, but I'm hitting like the 3-month mark, which is kind of the make it or break it point, and I'm still using it, and I like it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to screen switch from you looking at my face to the 2 things that I do. And I think I've talked about this before, I don't know, but I'm going to switch so that way you guys can see the craziness that is my life and how I organize it. Okay, so this looks like a hot mess, and I am fully aware of that, but this hot mess makes a lot of sense to me. What I have here that you guys are looking at is basically my week right now, and you can take a look. I had to schedule a live stream, and then I had to record this video. Ta-da, guess what I'm doing? I'm recording the video right now. And one of the things that I really like about how this is set up is that it actually sends reminders to my phone, because that's how I have all these things set up. And it really just takes a lot of I need to remember to do things out of it. And then the other thing that I really like, which I know some people kind of have mixed feelings about, is the fact that everything on here is like super flexible, right? Like if I have to move it, then I can move it, or I can delete it, and I don't. It's really kind of like a less friction way of me to manage my time and see where I spend my time. And some of the things that I have on here are daily things that I need to get done. For example, I was supposed to write 2,000 words yesterday. It didn't get checked off because I had some stuff that went on, and it just didn't happen. But the other thing that you can do on this is you can actually put the dailies, and you can put weekly tasks on here, and then you can also put things that you need to get done during the day. So at my physical location that I work at, what I do is on my calendar right here is I put down everything that I worked on, so that way when my boss there calls and talks to me and she asks me what things got taken care of, I can just look at this and tell her exactly what was handled, so that way she doesn't have to wonder about it. Now, I could really dive into this and talk about how to set this up for yourself and all that jazz, and that's honestly like a half-hour video that I could do, but somebody else has actually gone through all the work to do this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to link that video down below for you guys to see if you want to set something up like this for yourself. This is option 1 of what I do when it comes to managing my time. I obsessively track it. That's what I do. So that brings us to the other thing that I do, and I know this says bullet journal, and I know some people are going to be like, that's digital and that's not actual bullet journaling and everything else like that. I know it's not real bullet journaling. It just made me feel better to call it that. But the other thing that I do is I have this entire Notion website set up to help me track everything that I need to do and when I have to do it. And it lets me plan ahead, but I've also set it up for me to let me do like a self-reflection kind of thing. So for example, one of the things that I like to do like in the morning for like getting my day together and kind of having some self-awareness is I will actually go and I will get my journal for the day set up. So I'm just setting this up for tomorrow, and in here I've got like everything from like my daily tracker stuff to what my morning routine is. I've got like my morning pages, which is just where I like just ramble off how I feel about everything and anything I have to get done. And there's some other stuff on here, like the word of the day that I get from Webster's Dictionary. And I also, the one thing that I do put in here that I think is really important is I have the daily highlight. So it's the one thing that I have to get done in the day, and I have to make sure that I do it within an hour. And sometimes what happens is I'll be like, I have to get this thing done, and I'll come back to my calendar and be like, well, when do I have an hour to do this, right? So right now I have an hour to record this video, and then after that, like I'm done, because if I try to not get it done outside of this time period, what's going to happen is I'm going to have all day syndrome, where I give myself all day to do it, and I'm going to procrastinate until the end of the day. And I really would like to keep my my time right here away from that. So I'm doing everything in my power to protect my evening time right now. But yeah, so give yourself the daily highlight of the thing that you have to get done for the day. And then also I find giving myself like 2 goals will help with that. And what I have over here, this toggle thing, it's called level up goals, and I could probably talk about that later if you guys want me to explain that. But what level up goals are is that anything that I have to get done for the daily highlight or today's goals, they have to fit in these categories, right? So it has to be a fitness related thing, an author related thing, it has to be my husband thing, so on. So if I have something on here that I need to get done but it's not pertaining to any of these, is this something that's working towards my objective kind of thing? So it's like a nice little mental check on that. And then, I've got, and this is everything from reflection down is when I settle down for the night to kind of go over everything. So what were my wins for the day? What was the summary of the day? And then I also think about what I want to do tomorrow as well. And then I've also got my my night routine. I know some of you might ask why I have the night routine and the morning routine on there. And the truth is that I forget things. I forget things so bad. And so, and it also kind of helps me figure out, like, did I brush my teeth? Did I take my meds? Did I drink water? Did I exercise? Like, did I do all these things? And it's just like, I take a quick look at it, and I'm like, okay, I didn't do it, and I move on. So this is really a quick and dirty summary of how I get my life together. But if you guys are super interested in me doing some kind of weird Notion tour where I really dive into all this stuff, let me know. I am very happy to do that for you. I am absolutely confident one of my friends is going to message me and tell me that, he's going to be like, do you need help? Okay, so I do want to circle back to the whole purpose of this video, which is about time management and helping you manage your time. Now, I showed you like a really complicated way to do it, and if that doesn't work for you, that's totally fine. Like I said, I've seen people use sticky notes, a whiteboard with like a little to-do list, like my aunt does that. One of my friends has a happy planner. Somebody else has the Clever Fox planner that works well for her. That's actually my boss. My boss got a Clever Fox planner, and she's been doing great with it. It makes everything so much easier for her. And it really just kind of comes down to what system works for you and why it works for you. And I would really like to know that, because I'm super nosy, and if there's one thing I love doing, it's expanding my awareness on how people get things done. I'm super into that. So if you have a system that works for you, please share it down below, and maybe somebody else will come and read it and take a look at it and be like, I'm going to try that and see if it works for me. So we'll be helping a little community of people at the same time, and I'm all about that life. And like I said before, if you really want me to dive into like how to do Google Calendar and set it up for you, I can do that too. If you want me to do a Notion tour and kind of walk through what I have on there and why I have it set up a certain way, totally happy to do that too. Just let me know. I'm trying to get back into the swing of things, and I'm definitely looking at making content that you want to do, which is going to give me a quick segue. And the segue that I have for that is I'm obviously trying to do more content, which I'm really thankful that Tamara helped me like get my butt out of the chair to come in here and start making this video, so that way I could kind of help you guys out a little bit if it helps you at all. Like, I want to know if it helps you. Like, try something for a month and get back to me. Let me know how it worked out, because again, I'm super nosy and I just want to know. I'm clearly out of practice because I keep distracting myself. So what we covered in this video was kind of like what time management kind of looked like, why it could help you, a couple of different ways that it may help you. I showed you how I do time management. And then I also asked if you had a system that worked for you, and if you were willing to share it, so that way anybody else who is watching can maybe take a look and see what is happening with certain people and maybe try and emulate that. I highly encourage that. But I guess that's really it for my video. I am still getting back into the swing of things, so I appreciate your guys' understanding while I kind of fumbled through this. But I am going to try my best to get back into the saddle, and that really brings me to the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for coming and hearing what I had to say. I really appreciate it, and I will talk to y'all again real soon. So bye!